It is 78 in here. It was a little higher, but I just turned this on for like a minute. This is a pretty good machine, but I turned it off so I could like drive my point home a little bit more. It was like 80 degrees in here. We do have central air conditioning, and it is set to like 70 degrees-ish, somewhere around there. And yet, for some reason, this room is sitting at such a high temperature. Even with the thermometer being so close to the thing. Why is this? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Yeah, theoretically, we have central air conditioning. Surely you don't need an air conditioner on a wall or air conditioner in the window. You shouldn't need that. Well, there's a couple of reasons why the central does not work very well in this room. It keeps it about 10 degrees cooler than outside. At best on a hot day. It's 80 degrees in here, it's 90 outside. And that's only because this thing I've kind of run on and off throughout the day. And a lot of times with the door open. A lot of the reasoning behind why it doesn't cool down in here with the central air conditioning is because, well, first of all, this vent placement is awful. When the door is open, the air coming from the vent has like no way of getting throughout the room, and even with the door shut, it won't go below 76 in here, and that's just that won't do it. They ain't gonna cut it. Furthermore, on top of this, there is a return vent. There is a return vent in this room, in the other bedroom across the hall. There's also one in the downstairs bedroom, and also in the living room. And the living room one's kind of important as to why I'm about to talk about this. This return vent doesn't work at all. You can hear airflow through it, but I don't think I have the airflow tester up here. No, I don't see it. Anyways, there's no airflow going through that vent. You wanna know why? Because it shares the exact same air duct as the return vent in the living room. So all of the air, all the suction power from this air duct is coming from the living room, not from this vent. Even worse, they put two return vents in the living room on the same air duct. Now, I have one of them closed off all the time, depending on the time of year. One of them is towards the ceiling, one of them is towards the floor. So in the summertime, the one towards the ceiling is open because, heat rises and you want to get rid of all the heat. And the other way around, in the wintertime, you want to get rid of all the cold air. And so the bottom one gets opened. But also, a lot of the times, when it's cold enough in the wintertime, I close the ones in the living room completely, because the one in the downstairs bedroom takes care of it because there's no door on it, and it usually takes care of it. And then when both the vents in the living room are closed, the one up here actually works pretty okay. I say pretty okay because it still doesn't have a lot of suction power, not as much as the other return vents. So really, and it's okay for the wintertime, it's easier to heat it. It seems like a lot of times it's easier to heat a space than to cool a space. And this heater vent, for heat anyways, works pretty good. And I gotta put up a ceiling fan in here. I need to find some longer screws so I can just screw it right into the main ceiling above. The main ceiling is actually super close to the drop ceiling. So yeah, I am going to install a ceiling fan in this room, rather than, and hopefully not have to use the air conditioner as much, because the light bill come in and it was almost $300, which is ridiculous. It's never been that high before. And it's not like we were using any extra electricity than we normally do. I don't understand. Apparently it's not just me that's having increased electric bills recently. I think it's just that it's not a matter of we're using more. It's not like this thing's using more power than that. Not a chance. This thing uses 5.2 amps. That one uses like 7 amps or something. I think it's 7.5 amps. So if anything, this one should be using less. But yeah, I think it's just that the energy people are charging more because they can, and inflation, whatever. I don't know. But this is the problem that I have with central air conditioning. It's nice and convenient because you don't have to install air conditioners in the windows for the summertime, and all you have to do is flick a switch on the thermostat and then it gets to cooling the house. But something I've noticed is that unless you start the central up before it gets hot outside, it will not get it all the way down to your set temperature, especially if you're like us and you want it to be at like 70 or 69, 68 degrees in the house. On a day like this, if you turn it on after it gets hot out, it's not going to cool it down until after it already cools down outside. That's not good. The other issue is the airflow isn't exactly the greatest. Which is kind of how, like, where all the vents are placed. Some of the placement of the vents aren't great, like this one and a couple others. Yeah. But also your cooling spaces that you don't necessarily need to be cooled, like. But that's also subjective for certain people. But really, if it were up to me, I would just have some units in the walls in each area of the house. Like maybe have like one big unit for the first floor, and then have one up, and then have two up here. This one I would not put here though. I'd probably put over there, maybe over there though. In fact, I'd probably put it on this wall over here. That way you can just have the door open and it blow and cool the whole upstairs, and then only have a secondary unit in the other room for when the doors are shut. This unit, I don't like the fact that it's right there. Because it's the same mistake they made with the vent placement. Is when the door's open, well, then it's covering the air conditioner. And that's why that cord's right there. That's a long coax cord. This house has like 50 million of them. And it kind of keeps the door from opening all the way. But yeah, this is the issue I have with central air conditioning. It doesn't it heats fine, but the central doesn't seem to cool evenly enough either. Like, there are some areas that don't get enough cooling, like it's like a small dining room. You might have seen it before, like the vent's too close to the opening that goes into the kitchen. You can just hear it turned off. Of course. Yeah, it went down a little bit with the door closed, but like I said, 76 max, and it is 76. Which does not cut it for me. It does not cut it for any of us, really. But yeah, so the vents, like, in the dining room is too close to the opening that goes into the kitchen, and the return vent pulls the air from the dining room to the kitchen, and then through the kitchen into the living room, where it goes back into the system. But then, and there's also a lot of weak airflow coming out of the vent from the dining room. So yeah, and it's a pretty high heat gain room because, like, there's like 3 windows in there, plus all the heat gain from the kitchen that could go in there when the system's not running. You know, that room gets a ton of sun throughout the day, plus a door that goes into the unair conditioned hallway that is kind of an enclosed porch, and the door doesn't make the greatest seal either. So all those factors, and it's noticeably warmer in there. It is uncomfortably warm in here for me, so I'm going to turn this on. Get to the startup. It always hisses like that, even if it's just been running. I don't know why, it just does. Maybe it's low. I don't think it's quite low on charge, but maybe it is. I know that's kind of a sign. I'm not too convinced. It's getting cold. But it's just dumb because I shouldn't have to use this. Theoretically, the central should just be able to take care of it. That is the whole reason that central air conditioning is a thing, so that you don't have to put an air conditioner in the window or in the wall. That's probably why the original owners put this in here, was because it didn't quite cover this room. And hell, theoretically, it shouldn't even really be a problem, because you think that some air would get through that attic door over there, and up through the attic and out the roof, because, or even up through the ceiling even and out the roof, because there's a ventilation fan up there. And you would think, but no. Also, if you're running an air conditioner on a 90-degree day, or any day like above like, I'd say like 80 degrees and up if it's hot out. If it's like 80 degrees and up with sunshine, turn the damn air conditioner on high. Don't leave it on low. There's a common misconception that putting it on low, that putting the machine on low uses less power, in which case that is, I'm going to say that that's not entirely true, because then the head pressure goes up and then the compressor uses more power. There's a bigger difference with the compressor using more power than the fan using more, and almost every time putting it on high does not cause the fan to use more energy. So just put it on high. I understand that high settings can sometimes be crazy loud, but with units like this, it's not a huge deal at all. But yeah, this is just stupid, you know? This is like the main reason why I don't like central air conditioning. It's just not quite, it's just doesn't, it's never seemed to be quite as effective as using like window or wall ACs, or even mini splits for that matter. Now, unless your house is like super modern and all, like I would not, like, and you're considering using central, like, unless you have to, I wouldn't bother. Like, and if you don't like the hassle of putting these in the windows, just get some units to put in the walls, you know? But if you're gonna put units in the walls, make sure they're slide out. This one is not a slide out machine. At least, I don't think it is. It doesn't look to be a slide out machine, which is dumb. But yeah, so that's my rant on central air conditioning. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.